Okay, today we'll see how we can set up a local SFTP server in local and how we can configure that SFTP server to work with Boomi. And using that SFTP server, how we can read and write a file. So we have seen yesterday how we can read and write a file from local system. But now we'll be seeing how we can read and write a file through the SFTP server. So now we'll be going to use a SFTP connector instead of the local disk connector. In the real time, what happens, they will be giving you, if you want to drop a file to some external system, they'll be giving you the host name, username, and password and the folder directory, and then you
Correct.
need to drop a file. So you have to use the SFTP connector for that purpose. So since we don't have an SFTP server in for us ready-made server, so we are creating an application that acts as an SFTP server. Let's go for it. Let's open Google. Next, type public access SFTP servers. There are some SFTP servers which are accessible for public, means through internet, but for those things only we are able to download a file, but we are not able to upload a file. Means they have given only read access. Read nothing but we can download a file, but we cannot upload a files. So for that purpose, what we need to do, if you can download, you can just we will be having the URL name. You know already how to I navigated here.
Mhm.
I'm navigated here, and I just clicked on uh, this forum. Okay, this forum, and then from this forum I navigated back again. You see, you can see that forum.robex.net. Okay, I navigated to this particular site, and in that site I just come down last and I can see the list of public SFTP servers, and you can just see here like most of them only allow read-only access. If you need to upload the data as well, choose an SFTP server and download and install it yourself. So these all different servers have locally and globally public which is accessible, and this is username and password. So default port would be 22 for SFTP server, and for FTP default port would be 21. So this using this credentials and the host name and username and password, we are able to connect to that SFTP, FTP or SFTP. But the problem is we can able to just download a file. We don't have an option to upload a file. So that's the reason what we can do. We can just download an SFTP server. Click on this Rebex Team SFTP server.
Mhm.
Okay, once you click on that, this how it looks like. The page will open. Now after that, we click on download SFTP server application. It will be asking. It will be downloading a zip file. So once the zip file gets downloaded, unzip it. Okay, unzip it. You can see that the download will show up again. You can see there is a zip will be going to download it. Let's say you can see there will be zip is going to download it here. So once it is downloaded, what you need to do, you just need to follow the procedure which is mentioned in the getting started. First download and unzip it, and then optionally edit. So let me just show you where it is unzipped in my system. So I have placed that into a root C folder. See folder regex have unzipped and placed it here. So once you unzip it, right, so basically you will get only three files. One is a readme text file, other one is a server file, other one is a config file. Okay, you can see now what these are doing. Optionally edit server.exe.config file. So if you want, you can just edit this file. So what exactly it will be there in the configuration file? Let me open it. So if you want to change the root directory, a username and password, then you can see that what was the username you want to put it. Initially there will be a demo user something. I just replace that the username to delbomi and keep the password. Whatever the username and password, if you want it to be accessed from the for the server, you need to provide that. And what will be your root directory? Once you log in into the server, uh, what is the directory you should be showing to the clients. So that will be going as a data folder, and as you can see in the line number 20, the default port number would be 22 for all SFTPs. FTP would be 21.
21, right?
Yeah, then you can see these are like for security as a name that SFTP will be work on security certificate based, and you can just see that there is a key file. You can see there is a key file, and then its corresponding password. Key file and its corresponding password. And in case if you did not downloaded or created these certificates, once as soon as you run this double click on this .exe file, it automatically generates a required data folder if this particular data folder is not available, and then it will automatically generates to the corresponding this private key files. Okay, this is
Okay.
a typical private key files. Basically it internally uses for a secure authentication.
Mhm.
So it automatically generates it, and once you click on the start button means your server is started and listening connections at local host. You can see 00 host IP address, and the port number would be this one. Means you are able to listen at that particular address, so that if anyone requested a connection, you will be able to log in into there. Then you can okay here. Now, as I told you, it's once login, this will be root directory for him. The root directory means what you need to specify. Root directory nothing but will be slash. In SFTP you need to mention root directory nothing but ed. Once you log in and once you click on root directory means it will look files in this particular directory. In this particular directory, because the data is we already mentioned in the CFG file, saying that that would be a root directory. Whatever the folder mentioned up to the data, that would be a root directory. After that, you want to specify any folder, you have to give the folder name with slash. Slash represents the root directory. Slash represents up to this is a path slash represents. Okay, as of now our server is running. You can see server is running. Now let's see whether we are able to create it and file or not. First let's see if we are able to connect it or not. Okay, once you so since we need to read a file from SFTP server, make sure you select the SFTP as the connector.
Mhm.
Since we need to read, it's an inbound action, make sure it will be get, because we don't have any other option in the start step. Only default action will be the get, and that's the only option. Now let's click on the test connection. We need to create a connection details. What is the host name we need to provide? We need to provide a local host here. And what will be the password? You can see the password and username and password will be available here.
Local host, why should we just keep it there as local host? I mean, is it like
Yeah,
because the
because
local
the
IP?
server is running in local host, nothing but we just may consider the default IP address, whatever it's take the system.
Okay.
That's one, because it's running in my local system server, right? I no need to give any server details. Any host name is you can see it 00 nothing but default type local system. And
Okay.
then I need to provide a username and password for accessing the server. I have entered username and password, and then I save it. Also on close. Click on an operation. Now what you want to do? I wanted to read a file. If you want to read a file, it will be get. If you want to put a file, because for SFTP server, what we can say reading file, or we can say downloading file. This reading and downloading in terms of a command, what we can do, we'll use a get. If you want to upload a file or write a file, the command for that is putting. Put and get.
Okay.
Put is for just uploading and get is for just downloading. So now what you want to do, SFTP action will be I wanted to read a file. And you have another option, read and delete. As
Mhm.
of now, I'll just only look files for in this particular directory star dot star. I'm just looking all the files which are available in the root directory. So what would be the root directory for us? Root directory will be the data. Let's see. Simmer close, then run it. Okay, then run it. But when you're running with a cloud atom, it won't run because the local host when it run on cloud atom means wherever the cloud
Mm-hmm.
atom has installed, wherever the cloud atom has installed on that machine, it just look for any SFTP server is running or not.
Okay.
So because when we are giving local host means I am running with my local atom. So it will be both are in the same machine. Then to understand the local host means it will be looking for the server which is running on the port number 22. It accepts username and password, delboom and password.
Mm-hmm.
On particular my system. If you are giving any other host, it will give another message. So now you can see there is no files are available. But let me just see what and logging has been happened. So you can see executing start shape, SFTP get, and loading connection and operation, and
Mm-hmm.
connecting to host local host port number 22. Connection established. Nothing but its connection is working. We are able to connect from Boomi to SFTP server. And these are like a different kind of secure mechanism how this is like in kind of any cryptography technologies all they will be using, right? That kind of information basically write it. You can see finally
Okay.
you can see your authentication is succeeded.
Mm.
Server
Yeah.
prompt for password authentication. Next authentication method would be the password, and then it allows password. This is what how we given server prompted password, password for delbumi at the local host. Delbumi is actual username, and this is a way how basically when you are connecting to the SFTP server through SFTP clients. When I say SFTP clients, let's say SFTP server was hosted on Linux machine. Okay, SFTP
Mm-hmm.
server hosted on Linux machine. And if you wanted to access SFTP server from your Windows machine, how you can access it? There are certain tools like WinSCP and Putty. These are the tools. When you are accessing for Putty, Putty is basically kind of a command line. But WinSCP, FileZilla, these two are like a browser. You can play with mouse. So when you're using
Okay.
Phuket, you need to enter first when you connect to the system, you need to enter Delbumi and then hostname. Means it's a username at the rate hostname. In the given this, it will understand that it is trying to going to connect to that particular hostname mentioned after at the rate and with this particular username. These are syntax you need to follow. I'm just showing for your reference.
Okay.
When you're using Putty, you need to how this is how you need to connect. After that, it will automatically prompt for password and then you need to enter the password. After that, if you are entering a right password, it will be succeeded. And then now we have given the root directory as a, so that's changing the directory to root directory and then looking for files. If there is no files are available, so it's trying to listing a file from the root directory. And since there is no files are available, it's disconnecting from SFTP and disconnecting from localhost and then closing the connection. So now let's try to play some of the file over here. Just want to make sure that whether whatever we done is correct. Let's rerun this. Now you can see there is one document got executed. You can see from which host name it actually read, with the host number, from which directory it read the file, and what was the file name and size. Even you can verify the size, file content also. It means whatever we have done set up a server is, and from Boomi we are able to connect to the SFTP server, and we are able to download or read a file as of now. Okay, it's as I told you, it's only reading from slash root directory. What if I wanted to read a file from this one? Let me just place a file here. I'll just give. This is my entire folder bar. I want
Mm.
to read a file from here. So even whatever the configuration we specified in the operation, the file filter can be override with parameters.
Parameters.
Go for remote directory. Now, as I told you, until this root directory, this is an equivalent to the slash. So I just need to mention if you want to read a file from the root directory, you need to specify the directory structure. I want to read a file, click on save it.
Until where is the root directory? Can you show that step again,
See
Vimal?
here,
Once I'm
here we mentioned data. Where this particular
correct.
file is available, you can see C, Rebex Tini Sftp server bin, and then in that particular folder the file is open. So if you are not giving any particular directory, means whatever the directory specified, and this takes a relative path from this file path. Where this file is there, you can see C Rebex Tini Sftp server. In the bin it is available. Right, in the bin folder the file is available. If you mention any path, right, without any full path, it means we can say relative path. We have a two paths. We can absolute path, then relative path. Absolute path, nothing but we have to give fully qualified, means you have to give C or Cerebex and subtype server and all that. You need to give all like this. If you are giving a relative path, means wherever this file is there, from that from that place you can find this data. Okay, now where is this file? You can just highlight this C Rebex Tinius FTP server, and then the file name will be this one. Now go
Okay.
here.
Okay. Got it.
See the file. So in that file, if you are giving any directory, just verify it. If it is not, then it will throw an error or it will recreate if the option is enabled. So this would be a root directory because the data is already mentioned. Whatever, if you are here, whatever I am showing here, it will be an absolute path. Whatever you are saying here is this relative path. That's the only difference. Both are referring to the same. So this will be, so since I want to read a file from the next directory, I'm just boomi underscore in. I'm just given the root directory will be represented in sftp will slash. Then I'll be and then I'm moving into the another folder boomi underscore in, and then I'm trying to listing out the files. So now you can see there is one file has been read because only one file we kept it. Okay,
Correct.
let me just put some other thing here. Even though the pattern is matches, what I wanted to do, I want to restrict the number of files to be available. And now what I can do, I'll just put some of the files here. Let me just
So
drop out
parameter
some.
prevails over connectors and everything, right?
Sorry.
Parameter prevails over connectors, right?
Yeah,
Whenever
parameters
I'm
will be taking the precedence or a connector. If same configuration is available,
okay.
same configuration is available. Now you can see there are multiple files are available
Mm-hmm.
because we have placed multiple files. So this time, because since we given star dot star, this time we have given star dot star. So whatever like how many number of files are available, it will just read all the files.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll try to restrict. Now we'll try to restrict the number of files reading it, even though the file pattern matches. If the file pattern matches more than one file, I want to restrict the number of files to be read by the boomi. Okay, see, as you can see now there is a three files are available. Whatever the file pattern that we given, that matches the three files here. Now
Mm.
then I'll just do a small configuration so that even though the file pattern matches more than one file, I want to read only specific number of files. Zero is nothing but unlimited. I just want to read only two files. Let's see, we did not modify anything, no changes in file pattern, anything. even though file pattern matches in this case 3 files, it only lists only 2 files because we specified maximum number of. Okay, then which 2 files will be reading? So it will be sorting based on the file name by default. So whatever the first 2 things will be available, and those 2 will be reading.
Okay.
Right, good. Okay, then we are good. So we are able to read a file now. Now let's stop the process and let's try to write a file. So this would be the same thing. And now operation, for the operation what you need to do, create unique name if file already exists. What you need to specify in the remote directory means where exactly you want to generate a file in the Sftp server. This is what we
Mm-hmm.
just mentioned. Under Boomi output, we wanted to generate a file here. But by default, do we have any configuration to specify the file name with what file name we need to generate a file on Sftp server? No. Means
No.
again we have to use the set properties that will specify all the details.
So by default, the connectors will not give any file name, right? You cannot give any file name.
So we have seen, right, if you don't give a
Yeah.
there will
Mm-hmm.
be a random file name will be that extension the file name would be generated.
So,
That's the thing, because if you want to write your own specific file names, then you need to follow the set properties. Now this time I wanted to set a file name for SFTP connector, not for the disk connector. So I'll be going to select the file name under SFTP connector. So I need to assign a value. Now what I am trying to do here is, for this SFTP file name, what is the file name I want to set? Whatever the start shape has read the file, and that same file name I wanted to reassign back it to here, so that the same file name, the file will be generated. Whatever the file it is being processed, with the same file name I want to regenerate a file. That's what my
mhm.
question. So how basically it happens, how we can identify that what file name it has been processed. Once Boomi has processed the file, for every connector, there are certain types of properties it will hold it about the processing document. Click on plus. So all these documents are basically document type properties. These are standard and document type properties. Click on the search button on the document type properties. What and all properties it can hold regarding the process documents. So going for disconnected, it only store the file name. Going for SFTP, it will store all these details. Going for JMS, like different, depends on. Now in this case, I want to capture the process document file name. That's all. No need to do any other things. Now click on C, test. Now you can see we have said that if the file pattern matches more than one file, also we have told we have to read only 1 or 2 files. So the same 2 files would be available in the boomi underscore out directory, because we are trying to write a file in the boomi underscore out. Now we can see boomi out was your already there are certain files are there. You can just see when those files are generated. 719, you can see that these are the 2 files has been moved it today. Now you can track it from here also. Okay, we have read 2 files. What is Bhumi's underscore Salesforce contact upload? Another one will be BW underscore new underscore added. Now you can just verify whether whatever the file name that we have read that was available or not. You can see the set property was resulting in the connector, that start shape has processed it. In this case, it was giving, means we have not hard coded the value. If you observe here, we are setting the dynamically capture the value of the process document, so that it automatically
Okay.
getting it. If you are giving static value, it doesn't matter how many number of documents are giving. Each document will follow the same file naming pattern. If you hard coded it, or if you are giving any date times, Like all it will follow the same pattern. Now let's see connection data. You can see the first one, second one would be this one because it's the same file name is already available in the same directory. It's just giving a two sequential values. That's the default behavior you already seen in the disconnector. So it will be the functionality will be almost similar to the disconnector. Only the thing is disconnector will read a file from local system and FTP and SFTP connectors will read a file from the remote servers. That's the only difference. Okay.
Okay.
We know how to read and how to write a file.
So our document properties as basically is the host name and whatever property the document has, it will capture that. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, for specific connectors, certain types of predefined properties only it can capture it. What and all properties it can be captured for the each and every connector we have to see. We have to go and set property as I showed you earlier. We have to go here, just assign any value. On the right side, we have to go for dynamic document property. If you not sure, you can plus select the document property because all these connectors will store the data about the processing documents will be stored in document properties. And then click on search button. These are all the connectors. It will be capturing the process, capturing the data for the processing documents. So if you just open FTP, right? For FTP, is all and all these parameters can be captured about the processing document, like what was the file name that has been processed and from which directory it actually set. All these values you can able to capture it here. So going for
Okay.
mail connector, certain types of this will be depends on the connector. That will be depends on the connector.
Okay.
Okay, now we are clear on how we can read a file and how we can write a file. Okay, now if you just going here and change the operation of from the get to get and delete, what happens? What happens? As soon as my file process runs and connect to SFTP server for reading the files, and after reading the file will be deleted from the SFTP server. Okay, let's say you have a scenario, you are trying to read a file from SFTP server and then you need to process that file. Processing the file in the sense in our scenario, let's say we are trying to insert the data into a database. Whatever the file has, whatever the file that we pick from the SFTP server, that content we are writing into a database. Yeah, and let's say you have configured your database, your SFTP server with get and delete. Okay, get and
Mm-hmm.
delete. As soon as your connector executes, process executes, after executing the connector, the file will be downloading and then it will be deleting the file from the SFTP server. And in case, if you have some issues with the database, let's say connectivity issue or password expert issue, some other things, so you will not able to do actually insert the data into your database, but your file will be deleted from the source server. So you cannot re-trigger it because
Correct.
that is what you need to do. You always have to go for better practices. First, after download, when you enable the get and delete, the first thing what you need to do, you have to take a backup or archiving it from
Archive.
local directory, or if they already accepted the server itself, they given one directory, you maintain all the backup files. So you can just move that file. So how we can move? We can use the set property and the SFTP. We know how to generate a file, how to write a file. Using this,
Mm-hmm.
we can create an archive file and then you proceed the processing of the file content. So in case if you have any issue with the file data or any technical issue with the while connecting to the database or while inserting into the database, then we can easily we can take the code file from the backup or archive folder, and then we can get the process, and then it will be this time it will be process the files correctly. So
So it means should we split it or how do we kind
so
of put an
that's
archive folder?
depends on process of how we depend we depending it. That will be vary. That will comes under the processing. That will see the later part. Now we'll
Okay.
see. Last session we have seen how to read and write a flat file. So we'll just
Correct.
consider that flat file. Yeah, go ahead.
Prema, can you show me the quickly, if possible, how can we archive it, through these symbols, symbolically,
It's the same, right? This is what we can consider. This is an archive. We are writing.
Okay, the same okay, got it.
Same. We are using SFTP with a send action. Archiving in the sense we are just creating a generating a file for backup purpose. That's what a term we
Okay.
can call archive. There is no
Or
specific term.
okay, or can we kind of do something like a split right from the start, and then the moment it gets and deletes it, one goes into an archive directory and one kind of goes into another folder and reads there, something like that. Can we not do
That,
it that
that,
way?
that we'll see once we are working with database connectors, right? What I can do, I'll just first open, I'll just the same process I'll be continuing. First, I'll be reading file from SFTP server, and then I'll be enabling the SFTP server with get and delete. As soon as my file reads, it will be deleted. So to make sure
Okay.
next time if the file backup should be available, I'll be creating an archive path where it will be going and archiving it first. First step will be archiving, then it will be proceed the processing into inserting the data into a database. Like you
Okay.
can consider this inserting the data in the database, considering the processing the file. So we'll show you in there. But as of now, we're just making everything process into simple to understand more.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll just see how we can work with the flat file data. Okay, how we can work with flat file data. But we are already know how we can read and write a file. Let's
Mm-hmm.
click on this copy the disk can get. Let's click on the copy of this process. And here, when you even there is an option of copy components. Copy components. When I say copy components, even the process itself, process also is a one of the component. Right, process
Okay.
is also one of the component. When you are copying a process from one, even there is a possibility that you can copy the process or any component from one account to another Boomi account.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing is you should have an access for the different accounts. Let's say you have let's say your username is ABC. Okay, ABC has an access for X account and ABC has an access for the B account. But in the both accounts you are accessing with the same username. So if
Mm-hmm.
if you have an access for the two different accounts, you can copy your processes or any components from the account X to account Y.
Okay.
Even within an account also it's possible. As of now, we don't have multiple accounts, so I'll be showing how you can copy the processes from one account
Within
to
the
another account. So I'll be just selecting the root directory here. In case if you want to change it to the if you want to copy it to a different account, just click on search button under the copy to account. If you want to copy this particular file to different account, not that I'm saying different folder, different account, just select. Once you click on the search button, you'll be showing that list of accounts has been linked with this particular user ID. List of accounts that links with this particular user ID. As soon as you select the specific account name, click on select account name, click on OK, then automatically, and when you go into the destination folder, when you click on this search directory, this time it would be showing the directory structure of the remote account, the account that you specified in the copy to account field. Be showing it directly because you want to copy the file to your remote another account, and once you select the account to which you need to copy, and then you need to select the corresponding folder on that account. Okay, that's the
okay.
most important thing is copy component dependence. Copy component dependence means process in process there will be n number of components will be there.
Correct.
The components will be like connection and operation, if any profiles, maps, like anything. What and all components. You can see a list of components in the create component and drop down. Process also.
Including the set properties and everything.
Set property is not a component. See, set property is not a component. You know, see, this is a shape, right? Shape. Inside shape,
Okay.
you are using any reusable component. Set property is not a reusable component, right? You can just see
Okay.
these all are shapes. If you see here, none of very less activities you can see the components which are mentioned in the shapes. Only you can see map and process. You can see the map and process, map and map, only you can see map. Rest of the things are not available because map also internally it uses the profiles called profiles, it will be using it. So whatever it is showing is all are the components. So when you're copying and copying the process to different directory, do you want to copy your process along with all the dependent components, or only just simply copy the process and refer the actual components from the source process again? Means you are not making all the components to be duplicate.
Mm.
That option basically it specifies here. Click on down arrow and click on copy. If you check the by default, the option would be it will copy the all dependents, connections, operations, and then the profiles, maps, anything, all this. But I don't want to copy here. I want to just uh, duplicate the process, not all the components. And once the duplicate process is getting created, this duplicate process should refer all the components as same as the original process. So now
Okay.
if you are copying your process across multiple accounts, okay, and if you are specified, let's say you will be having some connection components. In the connection components, you might be specifying the passwords. In that password, the password will be always encrypted. You might have seen when you are entering the Sftp server user and password will be encrypted. So when you are copying on your process across multiple accounts, do you want to copy the password also or not? That option will be available here. This only will
Okay.
be enabled when you select the different account. As the name says, copy passwords across all accounts.
Mm.
Okay, so now don't want to copy all the dependent process. I want to copy only just a process I want to copy. Let's
Okay.
go here, click on OK. You can see it will be refreshed here, and then you'll be seeing one more process here.
Mm.
Okay, now let me rename this process. Let me rename this process to Flatfile to XML conversion. What I am going to do in this process is I am just reading a file that contains the flat file data. That flat file data will be converted into an XML file, and then I will be rewriting the file. Okay, in
Okay.
order to do a conversion, what we need to do, we have to use the map shape here. What exactly map shape will do? You can see the help content, quick help content. Use maps to transform the data from one format to another. When I say one
Mm-hmm.
format to another means you might be using the source and destination profile having the same XML, but in
Mm-hmm.
XML will be having a different structure. Flat file may be having different columns and different structure. Means even you can convert flat file to flat file, XML to XML, and then XML to flat file to XML, all possibilities. One format to another means same profile type, or more specifically from one profile to another profile.
Okay.
Okay, even you can copy, you can translate the data from one profile format to another profile format. Let's say an example, I want to transform the data from flat file to an XML file. Here both are two different files. One is flat file profile, other one is XML profile. Even you can
Good.
copy, you can translate the data from same profile formats, but the structure would be different. Means I may be using the same XML profile, the source, I may be using XML profile in the destination, but both are at the different structures. Map can
Yeah.
support both. Okay, now in our case, we are using a different profiles. Click on plus. You can specify the what would be your source and what would be your destination. Means from what type of a data to which data you want to convert it. Let's select the choose. I wanted to specify flat file data. Specify flat file data. I wanted to create a flat file with the sample data. Let's see, I am going to, this was a file I am going to use for the demonstration purpose. So this is the file I'll be going to read. So in order to access a particular customer ID, or particular order date, first I should be able to parse this file. Then only I can able to retrieve each and every record. Otherwise, when the file connector because in the okay, in let's say in what I need to say, when you have an, if you don't validate, right, when you read a file, okay, when you read a file, what happens, you will have all file content will be loaded, but out of that, how can you load the specific field name, specific column data? That only happen with metadata. First we have to we have to analyze this particular file content with metadata. So metadata will be specifying the details like how many number of columns are there in your file content, and what are the different
Data
types of
types.
columns. All these data types are, like in this case, what is the delimiter for each column? Like it will specify some configuration about the file data.
Mm-hmm.
Now we wanted to create a flat file here. When you're creating a flat file, we have an option of either manually adding all the profiles here, like click on arrow, click on here. You can have a manually adding a profile. Instead of, let's say if you have a, let's say in our case, four fields are there, we can quickly add it. Let's say in real time we have 100 fields, 100 columns are there. Then
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult for us, it's not difficult time taking operation. So what we can do, if you have a sample file, using the sample file, it automatically gets create the your flat file, all the elements. So for that, first when you are uploading a file, right, you can see the right side it's not uploaded. Right side import button is not enabled,
Correct.
and first once you click on the record button, and you can see that import button is highlighted,
Okay.
and import button is highlighted. So once it is highlighted, then you can go here, import, to import the sample file. You can see you need to change some kind of a configuration details. Here it is saying what is file type is star delimited, but what will be your file type? File delimiter, it will be a comma delimiter. So we have to modify this. Go for options. So basically the file will be, right, the Boomi will support two types of files. Two types of files. One, delimiter files. When I say delimiter file,
Okay.
each column, how we are identifying that one particular column is starting here and ending column here, based on the delimiter. Wherever you find a delimiter, you will be considering that your column has been ended and next column will be starting. But let's say if you don't have any delimiter, what you will have another type of a file called fixed length file. There are two types of files, flat files. One is delimiter files, means in the delimiter files you will be identifying the where column will be starting and where column will be ending with the some delimiter. In this case, it might be the comma, it might be the star, it might be at the rate, any special character you can specify. There is other type of a file, we can call it as a fixed length. Here, for identifying that where column value will be starting and where column value will be ending, we don't have any delimiters in the fixed length file. We have to identify each column has specific length. Based on the length, we automatically take each and every data. So the Boomi supports most of the times we will not be using, this is what we can say fixed length position. Data position will always use the delimiter.
Okay.
So now we will be using what will be the delimiter for our file? It's a comma. And we have okay, now let's click on import. Let's view this file. Click on next. And make sure when you're uploading a file, right, if you get a sample file of 1000 records something, right, make sure you are put only one or two records or max 5 records. Because if you are putting,
Okay.
if you have sample file has a huge number of records and you're trying to upload, right, because your process
Hmm.
will take a lot of time to upload entire your file content into memory and represent your memory in terms of this column structure. So it will take some time. So that's the reason you can always load a sample file with the minimum data.
Okay.
Okay, now we can see the column names, right? When the column names are not renamed it as per my CSV file. What will be the column names for my CSV file? The first row would be. But in this case, the column names, when you click on finish, the column names are not taking default values. I wanted to give some reasonable column names, whatever I mentioned in the my CSV file. So to do that, we just have to enable the use column headers. When you check this checkbox, exactly happens? Use column headers, nothing but in the sample file that you are going to upload, the first element, okay, the first record will be considering as a columns, and whatever the record available is that record, with that record the columns will be gets created. Let's see, you can see now column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Now re-upload the file. Let's see how the column names will be automatically getting generated. Either if you earlier, if you see, the column names will be column 1, column 2, column 3 come, but now you can see only the column names automatically take based on the first row. When you click on this one also, you can just see it automatically renamed instead of taking a default value column 1, column 2. So now we know how to generate
Flat files.
flat files, how to create a flat files. Now we cannot say generate, how to create a flat files. Now we know how to create a XML profiles as well, based on sample XML file, based on XSD file. Now we'll just let me just quickly create. Now let me quickly create an XML file. Okay, sorry, let's say I want to create an XML file. Select XML and create new profile. Let me give this name and then add another child element. And each and every record I wanted to repeat my customer tag. Each and every row that's available in the flat file, I want to repeat my customer element. So that's the reason I'm just putting max occurrence can be any number of times, as many number of rows available in my flat file, those many number of times my customer will be iterating the tag. Under this customer, what all information I want to store? I want to store the 4 fields. Let's say each field would be let's add the another columns.
But here we have to manually add if there are about 100 or
Yeah,
200 columns.
yeah, if you have, because if you don't have any sample file, if you don't have an XSD, right, then what, there is no option for us. You have to add
Yeah.
manually. Because the last time we have showed how to add from the sample file. So I'm just showing this time manually how you can add it. Now you can set all the
Okay.
configuration. This time we're just taking everything, all the fields will accept it. Character as a data type, not looking exactly specific data types here. Now click on save and close. Now, okay, now this case, we have one field or two field, we can directly drag and drop from left to right. But if you have 100 fields or 200 fields, then how we can do it? What we have a tool called Boomi Suggest here. What this tool will do, when you take default values next, and when you finish this tool, basically it will just matching the names on the source end and destination end. Wherever the source the names got matched it, wherever names got matched it, all the fields will be doing automatically. It doesn't matter whether you have profiles have 100 or 1000 elements. Okay, click on Boomi suggest, take everything default. Okay, I just need to, we have to verify the properly whether it properly mapped it or not. If like source side field name would be different, let's say source side we have a field called first name and last name, two fields. On the destination side you want to map that field to full name. Means you need to combine all the things. In this case it will not map automatically, so you have to write your own logic. But what it will help,
Okay.
some extent it will reduce our manual effort.
True.
Click on 7 close, click on OK. So I'll be just storing an XML file here. Means here what we are doing here, whatever the file actually processed by the start shape, that file name we are capturing here, and then we are giving some date, and then we are storing in a value called .xml file. So we are not doing anything much. We just added one map shape. In the map shape, we have created a flat file, and then we have created an XML file, and we have done the transformations, flat file to XML, and then we have incorporated the map shape into a flow. When do we incorporate this? After reading a flat file, before writing it to the file. That's the reason. After reading a file, I placed it, and before writing a file, where file writing takes place, these two shapes will be responsible for file writing. So before writing, I want to do the transformations. So whatever the data it is actually passing through these shapes, it will generate the file with that content. Now when you click on test, you click on test and then select the atom and you click on run test, then what happens? You can see we read a flat file. You can see the file content. One second. Why it is showing XML file? Oh, we are reading XML file. Then how come we done the translation here? It was just giving some random values. So what happens? Right? We are not supposed. We have to read a whole. We are try to read this particular full file.
Maybe you gave a different path.
Yeah. Let's give a file name here. File name. We are giving restriction to this one, and then the file directory will be this one, current directory. And even let me add the directory. So whatever mentioned in the configuration, that will override with this. Click on save and then run the process. Okay, now you can see we are reading a flat file data here. Okay, and then because there is no transformations in between, the same data would be passing through the message map shape. So the map basically will be the translation of the data from flat file to an XML. Okay, let's see what will be the output of the map. Where we can see the map output in the next activity input. That's the reason we have click on set property, and then we have chosen the source data. This is the one, and then you can see the file name what we generated. This was the file name will be generated into this particular directory we are going to write, and this will be the timestamp. So if you just see, this was the file name was generated. This was the actual file we read. After that, we are appending the timestamp and we are appending XML extension. So if you just open it, right, you just go here. This was the file we are actually. You can see this is a proper well-found XML.
But the
Yes.
okay, yeah, that's fine.
So if you want to write a file to Sftp connector, what you need to do? You just need to set Sftp file name here and then put Sftp connector. That's all you need to do.
Okay,
Because the connector would be anything. It might be SFTP in the later point of time. It might be a Salesforce will be giving us the data. Success factor it might be giving us the data, or any other application will be giving us the data. Connector is just a piece of a connector is just a piece of a code in our process to produce the data or to consume the data. That's all the connector will be. The rest of the things will be doing internally using the all the logic will be built using the shapes available in the two palettes called logic and then intuition. That's all. Okay, if you have any doubts in this, yes.